Welcome to Tri-County Regional Black Chamber of Commerce Let's Talk Business podcast. Today we have Mr. Bishop Lloyd Jernigan, President of PLC Consultants, with us today. How are you doing today?
Doing fine. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. So before we get started, we're going to go ahead and thank our sponsors. Southwest Airlines is a proud air travel sponsor of Tri-County Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We also like to thank Premicore Business Solutions. I also want to send a special shout out to gmtradio.com. They've been extremely patient and helpful as we've made some different changes and stuff, especially today. And I want to let everybody know that if it's an opportunity for you to do a podcast or a radio show or TV show, go ahead and take a look at gmtradio.com and see how you can go ahead and do your podcast or your radio show here with him. So we're just going to get started. So I know that you were here to talk a little bit about what you do and some of the international stuff that's going on with the chamber. So why not just start with letting people know who you are and what you do?
All right, I'm Bishop Lloyd Jernigan. My company is PL Consultants, LLC. We're based out of Porter, Texas. And we're a general construction contractor. We're doing some work right now for a general land office. This is all a part of the disaster recovery for people that were damaged during the Harvey and Imelda. Along with that, we do debris removal. We have some work with the City of Houston for debris removal. We're also looking at a few other things to do with the city. We're looking at some dredging contracts that are coming on through the Corps of Engineers. And we're always trying to expand our capabilities. We're doing some soil remediation for the Department of Labor. We have two major contracts coming out for the Department of Labor with the Tulsa Job Corps Center. So that's kind of where we are in a nutshell. We're doing a little bit of everything across an array of things, but they all fall up under, for the most part, general construction in one form or another.
That is pretty cool that you do that, because actually we've been talking a lot about people getting certified for Hub.
Yes.
And thank you for today. You know why? Because it's the first time I got to meet a prime.
Oh.
So now I get to ask all the questions I need to ask about a prime, because before it was like the primes are elusive. I don't know who they are, but now I understand what they look like and what they're about. So that's pretty cool, because I've run across some of the bids for, first of all, dredging.
Yes.
And then for Harvey and Imelda, those are the things, the new contracts that are coming up. Like one was like $12 million.
Yes. Yes.
So they're a lot. But okay, so you do all of that. That's really good. What made you get into that?
So my background is I have a master's in accounting. I worked in oil and gas for a number of years, and the last 10 years in oil and gas was doing consulting. And so when it was time to put in a new accounting system, or if they wanted to develop a certain type of report and they didn't have that skill set, they would reach out to the consulting firm, bring us in, we'd put a team together, and then implement whatever they wanted to do as far as changes go. And so that was a natural progression. Once oil and gas went down in 2008, through the mortgage crisis, then I went to New Orleans as a CFO for the Housing Authority of New Orleans for a year. And during that phase, I learned a lot about LIHTC properties and the financing associated with LIHTC properties, dealt with all the general contractors, along with having two audits going on at the same time. But all of those things kind of set the platform for when I came back to Houston. And I immediately started looking at construction opportunities, because it was a plethora of them, and it's still continuing now. The opportunity to be a prime is there. A lot of it has to do with knowing how to build a team. You're not going to be able to do it all on your own, especially being a small business. But if you know how to bring in teammates that can help you and leverage their abilities along with what you bring to the table, and they're willing to work with you, you can get a lot done that way. You don't always have to wait for the larger companies to come to you. On some things, start with some smaller projects and kind of grow from there. Make sure you're putting your resources back into the business. There are a lot of things that Tri-County offers in terms of getting your certifications and some meetings, and how to deal with financing, and how to deal with one of the major issues, which is the lack of bonding capacity. How to deal with those. You've got to take advantage of those classes. It's just a lot of resources that are there that you can bring to bear that don't cost you a whole lot of money, that you can get done. And if you take advantage of them, it'll give you an opportunity to grow.
That is awesome. So that's why I said this is the first time I got to talk to a prime. So wow, this is going to be really, really good information, because you talked about bonding, and that's something that I never really discussed or had a conversation about. So why is it so important to be bonded as a general contractor?
Yeah, so just about all of your city contracts will require you to have or meet some capacity for bonding, depending on the project that you're working. And so it's better to reach out to a bonding company now, because the bonding company is nothing but insurance that the project is going to get done. In the event that you can't complete the project, the bonding company is responsible for getting somebody else in there and paying to get that job done.
Thank you, because I didn't know what bonding was. I was like, okay, I don't know exactly what that means, but
Yeah. You know, think of bonding like you would life insurance. You know, life insurance is a bet that you're going to die, and you're betting that you're gonna live. Okay. Bonding is pretty much the same thing. It's insurance in the event that something goes wrong in the contracting phase and you're unable to complete your part of the obligation. Then the bonding company steps in and fills that gap with another contractor, or they do it themselves.
Oh, okay, awesome. So I'm glad to that. So it's important that they do that.
Yes.
So, in order to become a prime, you have to be certified.
Yes.
Through a lot of different channels. But why? Yes. So what have you found to be most beneficial about your certification besides being a prime? Because some people may not make it to be a prime.
Yeah. So I hold just about all the certifications. I did them all myself.
Yes, that's painful, I would like to say.
Yeah.
It's painful.
I'm a service disabled veteran. I'm a Texas hub. I'm a hub zone, getting ready to be 8A. I'm a City of Houston MBE, SBE, and PDBE. I'm an SBE for the Port of Houston, and SBE for Metro. So I hold all of those certifications, and they're not difficult to do, because once you get one of them done, for the most part, all of the other agencies piggyback off of the same information. Okay. But Tri-County offers that guidance that you need to get those things done. And then it's just a matter of you know, availing yourself to the process and staying with it. Don't get so sidetracked with making money that you forget, but staying with it, because those certifications do help out in the long run. Those set-asides are wonderful, and it's a good opportunity, like I said, to grow on some small projects and kind of build your name up and put yourself in a position where you can take advantage of some of the large opportunities when they come.
But okay, so that's good. I'm glad to hear that there's benefits to it. So what type of benefits have you had other than the set aside from becoming certified?
Yes. So on the certification, if it's a federal contract.
I want that, by the way. I want to do 8A, so I'm gonna have to get next to you at some point in time to say, okay, I want to be able to do that. How do I do that?
Okay.
But I'm just saying, I'm putting that out there right now. I'll hold myself accountable. You can hold me accountable too at this point.
Yes. I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire.
There you go.
This thing done.
I'm all right with that. So
the certification. So if it's a federal contract, if it's a contract with the VA. The VA is required to set aside as many contracts as possible with service disabled vets. Okay? We have what's called the rule of two. Any two service disabled veteran companies that want to go after a particular opportunity, the contractors are required to set it aside for service disabled vets.
And so they have to fill those positions. Okay.
Yes, they have to give that contract to it. They have to, that solicitation has to go out as a service disabled veteran set aside. Now, all of them have goals that they have to meet. And so unless there's some reason that they can justify to the Small Business Specialist Office with SBA, unless there's a reason that they can justify why we're not going to set this aside for service disabled veteran, they have to do it.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's where you've had a lot of benefit.
Yes.
So how has the other certifications benefited you? So
the City of Houston certification really benefits you because all of the City of Houston contracts require set-asides. All of them do, and most of them have around 35% of the contract has to go to an MBE, SBE, PDBE, woman-owned business. So if you start looking at the contract, start looking at those spaces, when you approach the prime, you are approaching them from the standpoint of, hey, I can provide this service related to my capabilities, okay? And I'd like to be able to fill that portion of the contract, but get everything in writing. Because one of the habits of some of the larger primes is they'll use your certification to win the contract, and they may or may not give you the business because it's not in writing. So, parole evidence rule says any contract that you're doing greater than $500 needs to be in writing to be enforceable. So you want to make sure that anything that you agree to with them, get a memorandum of understanding, get a letter of intent, get something in writing that says, hey, this is what we agreed to in terms of scope, in terms of deliverables.
That's good information, because a lot of people think a handshake is going to be able to stand up in court sometimes, or because they said it, they're going to have to. No, because people lie all the time, so why would you?
That is correct. They will tell you anything.
I mean, I know when I was younger, they used to say lie is a very strong word. Okay, as an adult, you know the difference between a truth and a lie, so it's going to be a lie. So what do you say to those people who say that I don't want to be certified because I don't want to be in a box, I don't want to be only provided just a set aside, I want the bigger picture? What do you say to those people?
Well, there's nothing to hinder you from going after a particular opportunity that's not a set aside. I mean, there's some opportunities that come out there, they're full of what you call full and open competition, meaning anybody can bid on them. And on most of those are going to be your big contracts, your $746 million, $346 million, your $40 million contracts. Okay. On those contracts, you're not going to be big enough anyway to go after those. Right. What the set aside allows you to do is to do a portion of work and prove to the contracting officers that you are capable of performing at the next level. You've got to build a past performance before you can get to the table and start asking for the whole enchilada.
Say that again for the people in the back. Yeah. Because I love the fact that you said that, because I did not. Okay, so I keep saying that. It's just, you got to go in and prove yourself. Yes. But the way you just put it, it made it like validated what I thought was the real reason why we want to be certified. Yes. But I have people saying, don't do it. You're going to get put in a box. They're never going to give it to you. And I was like, no, I think that there's something to this.
Yes. You're not going to get anything that you're not willing to fight for.
Right.
And so when you go in to talk with the contracting officer or the primes, your whole conversation should be selling yourself, selling your capabilities, but know what it is that you're good at, because you don't, when you're starting off and building a relationship with people. I always look at it this way. So you go to the beautician that you go to, she's 40 miles away. Not because she's the best in town, but because you have a relationship with her.
Right.
And so build a relationship with the contractor first. Make sure that it's a good fit for you. Okay. That they're really looking to help you grow and not just check off a box. If you go at it from that standpoint, when you're talking with them and you're looking at your ability to bring something to the table that will benefit both you and them, you're going to grow from the opportunity. That's where you want to utilize your certifications at. They got to give the work to somebody.
Right.
Okay? Why not you?
That's what I said. I said this morning, I was like, there's $12 million out here. I wish I could go and build this.
Yes.
And I said, $12 million, I'll take a piece of
That's
that.
right.
I'm good. I'll take a piece, a couple $100,000. I'll be good. I can roll with that for a little bit.
That's exactly right.
So I think that people probably need to look more into what's possible. So just like a resume, none of us start at CFO level when we first come out of college, right?
That's right.
So we have to prove ourselves worthy to be able to get that position.
That's correct.
So we have to start somewhere. So being a certified small business or a business period, the opportunity to get with a prime to prove that you are capable of doing the work that you claim that you can do on your resume or your capability statement is what needs to happen.
That's correct.
I love that.
Correct. One of the other things is trying to polish your presentation when you are when you're talking with people. Your elevator speech, your 2-minute speech, to say what it is that you do, what your capabilities are, what your experience level is, and you want to do business with them.
That is awesome. So how did I do on my elevator pitch? Because it was only an elevator. It was only 2 floors up.
Very good. Very good. We're there.
Right?
We're there.
So it's like, okay, so I had to practice that for a while.
Yeah.
I finally got it down, so I'm good. I like the fact that you started off as an accounting.
Yes.
And you pivoted.
Yes.
And a lot of people were really apprehensive to make that pivot for their own personal business. So we understand a little bit why you did that, because of the crash. But how were you able to shift your mindset in order to change into going into the direction that you chose now?
Yes. Long range plan. So, one of the things working in corporate America you should learn is all of the things that you get from your skill set, time management, all of those little things that you do. And think about it, on a lot of these jobs, we do this stuff already anyway. Yeah. Okay? So what you're trying to do is take your skill set that you've learned and see, how can I now position myself to do this for myself?
Right.
Okay? And so, when I do projects, I'm looking at the the budget. I'm developing the budget. I'm approving the invoices. I'm doing all of these things at a little higher level. What I did was I started the business on the side while I was still working.
Oh, okay. So you already started this
Yes.
prior because you seen the crash coming.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. I knew where I wanted to go. I had a timetable for getting there. And so I built the business. I got all of the certifications, all of that. We ain't making a whole lot of money. Like maybe in 1 year I might have made $5,000 or $3,000. But I made sure I kept up all the certifications. I made sure I did all of the tax filing, all of the things that I need to do to make sure the business was viable. And then, you know, as opportunities start to come, where you start to eclipse what you're making in the marketplace, then then it's time to make that shift. Okay. And you always anticipate that in that first year, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. So you try to prepay as much as you can in terms of making sure you keep your insurance up and those kinds of things. And seeing that I'm a service disabled vet, my medical care, all of that was already taken care of. But you've got to have a plan. Saying I want to be in business is not a plan. You've got to set some goals. You've got to put some timetables with them and be very, very concrete and deliberate about your approach to reaching those goals. In other words, once I set my mind to it, I'm not playing with it. I'm going to get it done.
Right. Focus.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people lose focus in a lot of ways. They're like, okay, I want to be in business by myself, and then it just kind of fades away, and then it comes back again later. I'm mad at my boss, so I want to be in business by for myself, and then it kind of fades away. But pen to paper, every single time wins. So once you start writing everything down, it starts to make more sense.
Yes.
And then and then it makes it more real. So not just a dream about what we want to do. So I like that. I think that's cool. But what do you say to those people who so right now the pandemic put a lot of people out of work, or a lot of people in a different situation, so they did not have an opportunity to plan to pivot in their business or in their in their employment. So how do they go about doing making that shift in their mind and in their business?
So you have to reinvent yourself. So I mean, just think about Dillard's and Macy's and all of these stores where they're used to having people come into the malls and buy their products, right?
Right.
Where are people shopping at now?
Online.
Okay, so you've got to go to where the marketplace is. You've got to identify what it is that you do, and where is my marketplace now that I'm up under this pandemic. And so even with doing the construction work, some of the changes that we had to incorporate was, typically you could have your MEP, your mechanicals, which is your HVAC folks come in, your electrical people come in, plumbing, they all in there working at the same time. But now what we do is I'll have the mechanical guys, the HVAC guys come in first and do their infrastructure work. Right. Then I have the electrical guys come in, because you got to get down to smaller crews so you don't have as many people in the workspace.
Yes.
So all of that means change. And as long as you're willing to change and you look for opportunities, they are there.
Yes. Okay.
Just don't give up. Make sure you've got a good network of people that you're talking to. Surround yourself with people that are going in the direction that you are trying to go, because I call it the H. Ross Perot theory. He was asked with EDS, hey, how did you come up with the idea for EDS and how were you so successful? He said, I recognized early on that I didn't have to know everything. Yeah. I needed to surround myself with people that were experts in the things that I didn't know. Yes. And allow them to flow in their given gifts. That's the mindset that I try to work with. Put yourself in the circle of people that are very skilled at things that you really don't know how to do. And hey, barter if you have to. Barter, hey, I'll give up something, you give up something. You find a way to make it work for you. And people are willing to work with you as long as they recognize that you really are, your mind is really set toward doing something.
I like that, because I think that's really important, that people need to recognize that online shopping took off earlier before the pandemic. Yes. But if you notice, a lot of the giants weren't willing to make that change, and they started losing business left and right for that reason. That's correct. So that's why it's really important for people to just make sure that they take a beat and say, okay, look a little bit further and say, what can I do that's different from whom I call them like direct and indirect, like collaborators. They don't realize they're collaborating with you. They just figure they're competing with you. Yeah. But when you turn around and look at it and you're like, I'm just going to collaborate with them, I'm gonna watch what they're doing, and if I don't like it, I'm gonna change it.
That's right.
And you shift, right? So I think
right.
that's really good. I like that. So we're gonna shift the conversation a little bit because Miss Leandria Thompson is going to be a feature speaker for expanding global opportunities during COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes.
And I know we want to talk a little bit about that from an international standpoint because although we have over 300 people who have already registered for this, there are other people who need to register who are unaware of why they should. So we want to go ahead and figure out, you know a little bit about this.
Yes, yes.
Just a little bit.
So there are numerous opportunities in the international area for your business to grow.
Mm-hmm.
There are numerous opportunities. That's funding available to help you in those areas. On a recent trip to Belize, one of the things I wanted to see was what were the real needs for that community, and who were the people that would be served. What would be in the best benefit and most advantageous for those communities. And so two of the things that really, really stuck out, one was in the educational area, the digital divide, closing the digital divide. You'd be surprised how many schools don't have any computers or anything to work with. Or they may have one laptop that the whole school is using, And so I looked at those opportunities. Construction is another one, The way that we construct our buildings here is totally different than what you will see down in the outlining areas of Belize. Not at the tourist areas that you go to, but in the outlining areas. And those people were so hungry for knowledge. Oh, just doing an exchange program with them would be something that's a huge benefit both to you and to them. And those are some of the areas that we're looking at: the construction phase, the education phase, and closing the digital divide.
That's really cool. And so now, this one's our time. They've been talking about Belize, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but the reason I like it, I like what's possible, but I didn't know how I could fit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, because I think that we are very, for me, let me own it as my own, right?
Yes.
I thought that if we have all of this technology, everybody has all of this technology, but that's not the case.
That's correct.
And so what you just shared with me was an opportunity for me to go and take technology over to a space that doesn't have it so readily available.
That is correct. And in the simplest format that you might imagine, we throw out computers that they could take and use. There are numerous nonprofits, HISD, various other schools that get new equipment all the time. What's happening with the old equipment? Well, it's a matter of engaging with them, saying, hey, there's a school down in Belize that I would like to, get some of that. Especially if you're a nonprofit, they could donate that to you. But if you could get those items, refurbish those items, and just donate them to one school and adopt that school as a sister school, you would be surprised how far it would go.
Wow, I just didn't think about that. So you're part of the Belize, you're part of the team that's going to Belize. So you've already said, oh, I'm going to be down there.
Oh, without a doubt. That first trip I was sold.
Sold, I'll be back.
Yes.
So what challenges do they have that we should be aware of, or what are the things that we can look forward to if in the event? Like for me, I'm going to go down there now because I feel like, I would like to visit there, but this because only we've been talking a little bit.
Sure.
So what can people expect when going down there?
So when you go down to Belize City is no longer the capital of Belize, of course. Belmopan is, and you will see a lot of the homes that are not quite, well, they're nowhere on the scale of what we would consider to be homes living in the U.S. the way that we do. Okay. You will see a high percentage of something like maybe 40% of the population is unemployed.
Okay.
The vast majority of the people living in Belize are people of color. Mm-hmm. And they have a very young population. You don't hardly see people of age.
Okay, where are they putting them? Okay, we'll talk about that next. We're going to talk about that next.
So medical facilities is another area where they need a lot of help. What we would call maybe one of our emerging clinics would be that's a hospital in Belize. Okay, but the people don't get as sick because they utilize a lot of home remedies.
I'm going to try the one you talked about.
Oh yes,
I'm definitely going to try that. Now, I don't have it personally, but I'm gonna pass it around to the people I know.
Yeah. I think once you make the trip down and you connect with the people, because you will have an opportunity to interface with the normal people who live there and talk with them about what their needs are. You can see the hunger in their eyes for education. They will take anything.
Wow.
If you're willing to work with them and teach them, they are willing, ready, and able to learn. And a lot of it is just closing the gap, getting them the materials that they need so that they can work. There are other nations that have tried to come into to Belize and into their circle. But I think what the Belizeans really want is someone to come in and teach their people how to do these various things so they can organically grow that knowledge within the country of Belize.
I think that that's a really good way to go about life anyway.
Yes.
You should never go in. And I was just having this conversation yesterday with somebody else. I was like, look, I love it when people call me and they're like, I'm having a hard time. So my aunt called me yesterday. She's like, I'm having a hard time with this Zoom thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, what do you do? I can't find this. Why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't touch her computer.
Yes.
And I'm on the phone. She's thousands of miles away at this point. And I was like, go here, go
Mm-hmm.
here, go here.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, that fixed it. Okay, cool. But at first it's like, no, I don't see it. Oh, wait, there it is. But the point I'm trying to make is the fact that anytime you can walk somebody through and
Yes.
teach them how to do it, it's easier than
Yes.
somebody coming in and taking over.
That's correct.
So to be able to go down to Belize and teach,
Yes.
to teach the teacher,
Yes.
teach, and then let the teacher teach the masses.
Yes. Train the trainer. Yes.
Right? And then be able to say from that, now you have enough skill set to be able to grow that into
Yes.
something different. And that's where growth of people come from. It's like it's a sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
In a sense. So
Yes.
I really like that part of it.
Yes.
You mentioned unemployment,
Yes.
the unemployment rate.
Very high.
So if it's very high, what does a crime look like in that area?
So there is crime in the area. I would always advise you to make sure you have a travel guide that takes you, a designated travel guide that takes you from point A to point B. It just helps in navigating the communities, knowing where to go, knowing the hours to move around and those kinds of things. But the people are extremely friendly.
Okay.
They are extremely friendly, and just really had a good time in terms of sitting down, talking with them, and them sharing with us openly, what their concerns were, what they would like to see happen. And as you were just talking a minute ago, we always say the thing of, I can, bring you fish and feed you for a day, or teach you to fish and you can feed yourself for life.
Right.
And so that's really what they're wanting. They're wanting someone to come in and train them so that they can learn to do these things on their own and then pass down that knowledge through generations behind them.
Exactly, generational education.
Yes.
And then we'll end up with generational wealth.
That's correct.
Because there are other communities that are able to hand down generational wealth,
Yes.
which gives them a step ahead of the people who were not provided that.
That is correct.
So, and I think that when we start making that shift to be able to provide that to other people, including in our community,
Yes.
we're going to set up the future generations to be able to at least compete, compete in a different way. So
Yes.
it's not a competition of catch up. It becomes a competition of now you have to compete with me. You either collaborate or compete, but one way or another, I'm going to be here.
That is
and I
correct.
think that's important.
That's correct. Especially moving around in that space, education. Knowledge is power.
Yes.
When you don't have access to capital and you don't have access to knowledge, it's very, very difficult to get out of that box.
Yeah.
But when people make it available for you to, at least be able to go to a library or get your hands on books that address certain areas, with that you can start to learn, you can collaborate with other people and gain and build a knowledge base to work from, build some kind of baseline to operate from. And so that's part of what we had talked to the ministers about down there. I think it's really, really, and a lot more easy than what people think to build, to collaborate with someone that does education and talk about, hey, do you have any lesson plans that we could get, that we could take down? Do you have a weekend? It's only a 2-hour flight. So do you have a weekend where you can go and we can set up a symposium of teachers where you can, kind of talk to them, talk about different things you're utilizing in the U.S. We got Zoom now.
Yeah.
So it's not like we can't set up something on that end and set up something on this end where you can have regular classes with those teachers and just build a relationship and close that bridge and slowly close that knowledge gap between, what we're getting here in the U.S. and what they may have to work with down there.
you know what? As you were talking, I mean, I'm listening and I'm like sucking this in. But I actually started thinking about all the people that would benefit from being able to teach their skills over into Belize.
Oh yes.
And then being able to have something reciprocal
Yes.
that is going to that's going to support that area as well as support them here in the U.S.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah. So I'm like, I can see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm telling you before, I was like, I just don't. So I didn't do it. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that one because I don't. If I'm going to go there, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Am I going to just stand on the beach with an umbrella?
Yeah.
You know, because all I see when I think of Belize is water.
Yeah.
And just just little things, little shops on the way, and it's just like touristy.
Yes.
So I don't like to do the tourist thing. I
There
like to
you
go
go.
into. I like to go where the people are for real. 'Cause
That's right.
That's when you find out what the real culture of that space is.
It's like, yes, you get the real flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you stand down with the tourists, and they're gonna treat you like a tourist.
That's right.
Treat you like a tourist.
That's right.
So, what have you decided to take to Belize?
So we are working on one, as I said, the digital divide. We are gathering computers now, laptops to take down, and the whole purpose of the laptops is so that the teachers have something to work with. The dollars that they have for the year,
Okay.
9,000 for the year,
What? 9,000
$9,000 US for the year
for what?
for technology and education. Period. And so you can see that there's a
educate anybody with that.
You can. If, like I said, the best thing about this whole proposition is that they want help. They're open to the help. And anything that you give them, they will work with.
Right.
We throw away a lot of things.
Yes, we do.
That most people in other undeveloped countries or slowly emerging, what we call emerging economies, could really use.
Mm-hmm.
And if we just start on small scale, just right here in the U.S., we still have areas of digital divide.
Right.
So, but if we would just to start on a small scale, maybe 20 computers, 20 laptops, and get those down there and get them utilizing those, and just keep adding to that number as they become available. The impact that we can have would be far-reaching into an economy and an environment like that.
I think that's pretty cool. So now, for me, what I know, because I'm a technology geek, so I know for some of the equipment that I have that is no longer useful to me, I don't throw away. Because I'm one of those people that I'm like, that's not the best use of my electronics.
Yes.
I'm like, the trash is not going to be supporting this.
Yeah.
But now that I know that this exists, I think I'm going to look more towards who can I gift that to or donate that to,
Yes.
so it can help out someone else.
Yes, that's
because
right.
I think that that's really important, and I appreciate the fact that you've even brought that up.
Yes.
So what are they? What else? What other things? Because you've been there.
Yes.
So now it's just time to pick your brain and see who else needs to come and sign up to kind of go to Belize or do the international thing.
Yes. So you want teachers and administrators to the point that they have availability in their schedules to interface with those administrators down there, do an exchange of ideas, even incorporate the students. I mean, I believe the students here in the U.S. would even be willing to do an exchange with the students down there and share knowledge, share experiences. We do these exchange programs at the college level all the time.
Right.
So it is very, very easy to take. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can take that same business model and utilize it for the schools down there. And just imagine if you had a school that was a shanty or in a shanty town, getting some information from students here, just the access that we have here to knowledge, just sharing just a portion of that with the students down there, how it could impact their lives.
I know some people.
That
And
we
I'm
got-
gonna look. I know some people, and they're gonna get a phone call from me today. I have something for you to do now.
It's huge. I really believe once they engage it and engage the opportunity, they're gonna just love it. They're gonna fall in love with it. Much like what my wife and I did when we went down. I mean, it was just amazing to see how hungry the people were for knowledge, how willing they were to be accepting of anything that you could give them that would help advance the overall cause, which is educating their people We, visiting some of the schools that they had. We also visited a training school that they have. They need tradesman knowledge. They need electrical people, plumbing, construction, any type of construction knowledge that we have here. They're interested in that type of knowledge down there.
That's pretty cool. I think I'm going to join your tech team though, because strangely enough, we're sitting here having this conversation, and I've noticed two pivots. Because I was like, wait a second, he started as accounting, then he went to general contracting, and now he's trying to lessen the tech divide and beliefs. So you and Howard Johnson, very, very similar types. You're like, oh, he's like Howard said, the lady called me about cutting the lawn. I don't cut lawn, but I was willing to do that for him. So he said, okay, I'll just cut the lawn.
Yes.
And the lawn turned into multiple lawns. But
That's it.
the point is that that's a point where you get to prove what type of person you are and how you're going to operate your business.
Yes.
But
yes.
you did the same thing though. You were like, okay, so the market's about to crash, so I'm going to prepare myself to go into general contracting.
Yes.
You did the general contracting thing, and then you went to Belize and said, sold.
Yes.
And then this made a decision to go ahead and join forces with Tri-County in order to go down there and do some business with them.
Yes.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, one of the beauties of Tri-County is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Leandra Thompson has already opened the door. She knows the landscape. She knows the people. She knows the decision makers. And so it's very easy for you to interface with that and get on that particular vehicle, just ride it, because everything that you'll need to know about the people when you go down to do your visits, where you need to go, everything that you'll need, she already knows how to navigate those pieces. And it just makes life a lot easier in making the transition. Now all we need to do is bring the products that we have and the knowledge and skill sets that we have, utilize the vehicle that she's already created, and get that knowledge and the skill set and that knowledge transfer over to the people that can utilize which are down there.
That is pretty cool. I like that, because the fact that all you had to do is join a community like Tri-County Regional Black Chamber. I went from no, I didn't. I did. I visited a bunch of chambers. I refused to pay them.
Yeah.
Refused. Because
Yes.
I was like, what am I getting for this money?
That's right.
And it wasn't until I visited this one that I was like, wait a second. This one, I have a strong desire to
Yes.
join, because I've seen the value in that.
Yes.
And then now that having this conversation with you, now I see the value in the international side of things.
Yes.
So now I have to get my wheels working to determine how I'm going to be able to engage with that.
Yes. Because what has happened is computers are making the world smaller. It's bringing everything closer.
Yes.
Cell phones are bringing everything closer. When I was 8 years old, I saw the first video phone at 8.
At 8.
At 8 years old, I went to the observatory and they were talking about what was going to be coming in the future. And I'm like, there's no way you're going to be doing that, And here it is when the iPhone comes out, you've got video for miles, miles. And so now, where it took news years to get around,
Yes.
days to get around, weeks to get around, now that news is there before you can get out of bed.
Right.
Okay,
You
24/7.
blink
Yes. And
Blink
so
news story.
once we're able to get the technology into the appropriate people's hands down there, then they can what's to stop a class from being taught from the US to them down there?
Right. This is true. And so that's why I said there's a few people I'm going to call today, because I think that I know that if they have the right curriculum in place and the right intent with integrity, that they can go ahead and expand their reach.
Yes.
And they will be able to see fruits of their labor in another country, whereas this country is very stagnant in their academics.
That is correct. That is
I
correct.
love that.
That is, one of the things I learned about Belize and the Belizeans is a lot of the people in Belize, their roots are from Texas, along the Gulf Coast.
Oh Lord, I'm not from
Yes.
there, so I don't know.
So a little bit of history on Belize is after slavery ended, some of the slave owners took their slaves, asked them to go with them down to Belize.
Oh.
And so great-grandparents are from Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, of the Belizean people.
Oh, okay. Well, that's different.
They speak perfect English
Well,
in Belize.
I'm for that. I think on our next conversation we need to discuss what happened to the aging population.
Yes. Yes.
I'm curious about where they are, so
Mhm.
that's what that's about for sure. We want to do that. Well, we've come to the end, but this has been really awesome. You're going to come back and visit me, I hope.
Yes, I will, certainly. Just, all you have to do is just let me know when.
I will do that because I'm like, this is a really cool conversation. This is awesome. So go ahead and let people know how they can find you, because as a prime, you're looking for subcontractors all the
Yes.
time. So
Yes.
please tell people how to find you.
Yes, PL Consultants LLC is my company. My website is www.plconsultants.com. My number is 832-212-1620. 832-212-1620.
You've done this before.
Yes.
Thank you very much for spending your morning with me.
You're certainly welcome.
So we want to go ahead and thank our sponsors. Southwest Airline is a proud air travel sponsor of Tri-County Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We'd also like to thank Premicor Business Solutions, as well as GMT Radio, for hosting our podcast and radio show. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a glorious day.